Today we will talk about 5 cool tricks in Unity. Number 1. Scriptable object as nested prefabs. Imagine the following situation. You have 2 prefabs, a player prefab and an enemy prefab. The player prefab has a color, a speed, a bullet prefab reference and the UI reference. And the enemy has nearly the same properties like color, speed, bullet prefab, UI and strengths. So the good thing about prefabs is as soon as you change one property, for example speed, from 10 to 15 and apply it, the other enemy prefab does have the same value immediately. But the player still has a speed of 10. But we want to share the speed and the bullet prefab through all of these instances and the UI through all of these instances and maybe a few more. So let's overcome this problem. Then we create a complete new class by typing public class and environment. Inherits from Scriptable Object. And we add a statement called create asset menu with the menu name my game env. And here we can specify our UI reference. We do the same thing again with an entity, public class entity, inherits from Scriptable Object as well. And the first thing we create is a direct reference to our environment Scriptable Object, to our bullet prefab, and to the speed variable. The last thing we have to do is say create asset menu, menu name, my game, entity. Back in our theme we can create the scriptable objects by hitting the right mouse button, create my game, entity, and the same thing again, create my game, environment. So in this environment we see on the right side in the inspector we can add a UI reference, we do this, and with the entity we do the same, we drop the already existing scriptable object and nest them, we can add the bullet prefab, and we can set a speed value. To use this in our Moni behavior we do simply the following, we get rid of all the old properties and create a new one called public entity, and back in the editor we just can drag and drop the entity scriptable object on the player, and there we go. The usage of this scriptable object is pretty straightforward. For example, we can just say entity.speed, and we have the speed. And as soon as we change the value here, the value gets populated to all of our prefabs because the prefabs just have a reference to our entity. Number 2. Find objects of type. Imagine the following situation. You have a player in your scene and you have a player script attached to it. And now you want to draw something on the canvas from these player scripts. So what you do normally is just make a public variable with the type of canvas. Go back to your scene, look up your canvas, and then you simply drag and drop your canvas to the script. And then within the script itself you can do something like canvas game object set active. This can lead to some pain, especially if you know that you have only one canvas in the scene and that you will always have only one canvas in your scene, and after some time you just drag and drop the player in a different scene and there is a different canvas and you have to always update these references, or these references get broken. and so on. So a simpler solution is just to make it protected, and on start you call the method findObjectOfType, and you just search for a canvas. And then you directly have the reference to the canvas, and you can use it in your update routine. And the nice effect is that your player script is very clean and that you don't have too much properties on it. Number 3. Multiple tags with mono behavior. Let's get back to our player. Now we want to have every object referenced by the player that is red. For example, the enemy, the other enemy, or this block in the background. So what you could do is you can use tags. Just click here, add a new tag, call this tag red, and there you go. You can tag this one red and this one red, and in your script you type red objects equals game object, find objects with tag, and then you just type the tag and you get all your objects. But what if you want to have all the reference to the objects that look like a player? You can say, okay, I introduce a new tag, but then you have to get rid of the red tag. You can only have one tag per object. And here is a trick that I use very often. So let's revert all the tags and do it in a different way. So for example, we take all the red objects and type a script or create a script red, and add these scripts to all our red objects. So, and we can do the same thing with a person. Create script person add. Now in our script we will change this code slightly. So we say, okay, find objects of type red, and we will receive all the red objects. And we can do the same thing with a person object, find object of type person. And there we go, we have all the red objects and all the persons. Number 4. Calculate within the inspector. One of the cool things in Unity is that you can calculate within the inspector. So take this example, we have a Z value of 60.12 and we can add a value of 1.11, hit enter, and we get a new value. Number 5. Timelapse. In Unity it is easy to write slow-mo and time-lapses without rewriting your complete code. So the thing that you have to modify is timescale. So example, if our character is grounded, we want to set timescale to maybe 3, and otherwise we set the timescale to 0.5. Let's see what it does. So our character is moving very fast, but as soon as we jump, we get a cool slow-mo effect. So that's it for today. Just let me know what you want to see in the future.